And to everyone out there listening, welcome to another episode of the Professional Heels Podcast. You have me, Brandon Corbino, also known by the internet as the Black John Cena. And you have my man Gavin Gabriel, also known by me as the Sexy Goldberg. And today we are going to talk something different. We always talk about wrestling, right? But when we started this podcast, I should say, we were known to be a wrestling and fitness podcast, but we've only really been on wrestling. And I've said to you guys, I'm gonna bring in some people to talk about fitness and so on and so forth. But then we just kind of steered on with wrestling, and WWE is all fun, and I enjoy WWE. But then, you think to yourself, how are all those guys in WWE so fit? How do they look so good? And we know the answer to that. They keep up with a fitness regime. They follow a diet plan, a training plan. And that's what I do for a living. I give people diet plans, I give people training plans. I train people face to face now. So let's get into it. Let's get into fitness. And I want to say, Gabriel, how is your fitness journey going on so far?
I mean, for anyone who's been following us for a while, first off, let me just say, busiest part of the year for pro wrestling.
Yep,
You can't blame us for kind of heavy focusing it. It's just that time of the year.
yep.
We did get a little off track. What other pro wrestling podcasts have two body guys?
Oh,
You got Black John Cena, personal trainer, God, body guy here, and then me just playing catch up, trying to get on his level, but still like higher than average. Couple body guys that if anything, better late than never. We circled back around, and we're gonna talk about you know the behind the scenes part.
mhm.
The key layer ingredient that goes into pro wrestling is you have to be in shape, even if you're not looking like you're in shape, you are in
Yeah,
shape. So just getting on that other level. So yeah, sorry, the question. My fitness journey, we're doing good.
yeah.
We're doing good,
What's
bro.
up, man?
We have been from when we started a year and a half ago, about a year and a half ago, feeling a lot better, a lot leaner, a
Yes,
lot
sir. Yes,
meaner.
sir.
Energy levels are
Yes,
high.
sir.
We are currently hitting the gym 4 to 5 times a
Hmm.
week. Following I usually do a meal prep on, usually probably after we record this, I'll probably do my meal prep for the week.
Hmm.
I have been following a relatively strict diet. I don't track macros, but like I try to make sure I'm eating not too early, not too late, and then keeping cheat meals to a minimum, but still allowing myself to enjoy myself. And a lot of people get so lost up in uh, following their own fitness journey that they become so strict and that they go cold turkey and that they don't realize that the diet part of it, you have to reward yourself and you have to listen to your
Yeah,
body.
exactly that.
What about your fitness journey?
My one's been good. I have, people who've been following me on my social media for some time, especially on my Twitter, they know that I love to experiment. I'm a researcher. I'm
Yeah.
a researcher. I always say that one day I'm going to do a PhD on fitness because I've done it on myself. And I was currently experimenting, essentially building as much muscle as possible whilst losing weight. And I was gonna say, screw it. I'm gonna try to build all the muscle I can. Okay, see how I feel, see how my performance is, see how my cardio is, and then figuring out what how can I say what weight is optimal for me. What's the best weight for me to move around with? Because now I do wrestling, and people don't know I do pro wrestling now. I'm in training for that at least once a week,
Yeah.
and I always say that I've been heavier. I've been at around 97 kilograms, and I've also been around 89 kilograms. And masters, people look at me, they're like, you look pretty similar throughout the year, other than when I look a bit more bulky and what's not. I see how my performance is, and I'm at the stage right now where we are in basically, we're in May. May is tomorrow, if I'm correct. No, is it? Or whatever. I
Tomorrow,
think, yeah,
couple days, 2 days.
yeah, I think, or whatever. But
When this episode's
yeah,
out.
when this episode's out, yeah, when this episode's out, exactly, it'll be May. So my thing is that now we're, towards May 2023. I'm at the stage when I'm dropping some fat, as much fat as I can in the healthiest way possible, whilst ensuring that I am building a muscle. And that's a very difficult thing to do because in this fitness industry,
Yeah.
or in this fitness game, I should say, it's always about gaining weight, losing weight, bulking, cutting. And I'm essentially in process of making sure that I'm eating enough food so that I can build enough, so I can build muscle, but eating the right foods so that I can shred off the extra fat that I don't or my body doesn't need. So that's where I am at right
Hmm.
now. I love to like experiment and make new, do new experiments here and there to see what's up. But now I'm just going back to the basics because the basics is what works for me, and I'm gonna teach that, and apply what I've learned towards my clients as well. Because I also do my own research as well, rather than just doing it on myself. I also do research through
Yeah.
Google, looking at articles, through them doing
Dedicated
research,
to the craft.
yeah, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really like on it, and I've learned
Oh,
so much with what works for people and what doesn't work for people. So yeah, like I'm
yeah,
sweet.
I was gonna say, yeah, my favorite part about, the gym or, fitness in general is that it's no two things work the exact same for every person.
Exactly.
So it's trial and error, and that's
Hmm.
it's the fun part of it. It's a never ending journey. It's a never ending finding what works for you, finding something you think works for
Hmm.
you, and then you try something else,
Hmm.
and that may work just a little bit
Hmm.
better. So,
Hmm.
dude, it's a hell of a journey.
Yeah, I mean, this week, it was my birthday. It was my birthday last week, or my birthday a couple of days ago, and I've just come back from a spa retreat. Really nice spa retreat. It was a really good time, and I ate like absolute crap. Like I ate everything. I ate,
Yeah,
chocolate. I ate like basically a whole cake to myself. I went crazy. And the thing is, I know I'm gonna look at the scales tomorrow or even today, and it's gonna say you've gained weight. And I just want people to understand that, like, listen, even if you gain a bit of weight here and there, you haven't fucked up. You can't fuck this up. It's a
yeah,
marathon. It's not a race. It's not about who can get to that weight the quickest. It's about doing it in the most sustainable way possible. And I'm really fine. I feel really good. I know that as the following week comes, I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna be sorted. I'm gonna be set, and I'm gonna be, how can I say, direct with what I want to do. And I think because I've allowed myself to have that leniency towards eating foods that I want, I haven't gone crazy to the point where I'm gonna binge. Do you understand?
yeah,
And that's important. And that's
yeah. Listening to your body, and I mean, admitting it is the first step.
hmm
Admitting is the first step. It's okay. We're human. We're human, guys.
yeah,
And unless you're, prepping for a competition or a sport or pro wrestling, like to be 100% dialed in 100% of the time, it's not sustainable. It's the quickest way to burn out.
hmm
It's the quickest way to fall out of love with your fitness journey because you're just like, oh, I'm counting out each grain of rice with my half cup of lean ground turkey.
yeah,
And it's just like, you have to find ways to
to make it sustainable.
motivate yourself. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's after a rough weekend or a rough day. And I'm like, the only thing that is going to help me feel better today is if I order a pizza and I eat half of it right off the bat, kind of
hmm
thing. Going the next day that when you step on that scale, it's going to be a little higher than it was, a little higher than you'd like it to be. But you can't use that as like a punishment on yourself.
yeah,
You just see that and just use that to refuel yourself. There's always tomorrow, and people treat the fitness journey like you either start it January 1st or you start it like March, April 1st
hmm
for the summer body
hmm
kind of thing. But like if you miss that entry date, oh, you've got no chance. You might as well wait till
yeah,
next year.
yeah.
Like you can start today. You can start tomorrow.
It's like, and this is
It's always a chance to reinvent
That's
yourself.
exactly that's very key. That's key, especially if you're a healthy adult who can move around. You can always reinvent yourself. And I think what's most important, right, is that people need to understand that we are human. We, a lot of the times, we consume social media a lot. And on social media, you have all these athletes who are prepping for their shows and they eat this and they eat that, and they say, "I look this way, I look that way." Simply because of how I look. Sorry, not because of how I look, because of what I eat. and you see what they eat, and it's like the most boring food known to mankind, and they kind of spew the whole, oh, food is fuel, and okay, cool. I understand this sort of sentiment because in reality, food is fuel, and it's important to be eating food that makes you feel good in order to make your performance in the gym better, and so on and so forth. But I asked myself the question, right? Or not even asked myself, I asked a lot of these coaches, right? You say all these things, but you are a coach. You need to be fit for what you do in
Yeah.
reality. You have a profession. If you're a professional athlete, you need to be eating these foods because that's what you do for a living. Whereas if I ask Sharon, who works in bloody customer service, to be living that lifestyle, why in the hell would she do that? If someone works a 9 to 5, they need to be adapting a lifestyle that allows them to feel the most confident, the most healthy, the most confident, the most active they've ever been, whilst not wanting to bloody kill themselves. Because at the end of the day, they are an ordinary person living an ordinary life. You need to essentially adjust it in a way in which is sustainable for you. I can never advise anyone to go for the craziest 100% on point diet of all time. I always give my clients an example of a diet plan according to their macros that I want them to be following.
Yeah.
And they come back to me. I give them a food diary and I say, listen, put down the foods that you've been eating and send it to me. Sometimes some people have shame. They're like, oh, coach, I had a bit of a cake today. I had this, I had that. And I always tell them, listen, I want you to eat it. In fact, sometimes I actually encourage you to go and eat it so that you don't become crazy. Because at the end of the day, if you have that here and there, you're not going to want to crave it all the time. Plus, you still allow yourself to lose weight, feel more confident, and you're enjoying life. And I think that's very important in the world of fitness.
Yeah. It, it, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And
Exactly.
if it is a sprint, it means it's probably for your job that you're doing it,
Mhm.
in these short bursts.
Mhm.
But it, it's the long game
Yeah.
that you want to play, and it you'll have these hiccups, you'll have these speed bumps, and the point of it is to not get discouraged by it.
Mhm.
It's to acknowledge it, put it in your head, and say, okay, we did this. I'm gonna add an extra 5 minutes of cardio to tomorrow, or I'm gonna when I go out to brunch tomorrow with my friends, instead of having like 6 drinks, I'll only have one,
Mhm.
only have two.
Mhm.
Like learning to compromise. And that's what it is really.
Compromising is very important to an individual. If you are able to compromise and allow yourself to, how can I say it, allow yourself to just be human, you realize how freeing it is. A lot of the times, right, when it comes to the fitness industry, especially if we are to talk about, let's say, what we're in 2023, let's say in 2010, or no, in 2010, let's say like years ago, like, from 2005 onwards, right? From 2005, it was just around that sort of time, fitness industry was super toxic, If you were not perfect, you were bad. If you did not do this, and that, you were doing the wrong thing. If you weren't super skinny, you were doing the wrong thing. And it created this sort of mindset with fitness that is always super negative when all you're doing is eating healthy foods. But healthy foods has now been associated with foods that are boring and you had to eat the salad rather than having any carbs. When in reality, the salad is just less calories than the rice. It's not essentially a magical pill. And a lot of the times you get all these
Yeah.
people that they just don't understand, and I don't blame them. You have all these myths that you have to bust, and I was shocked at how prevalent these myths still are, because a lot of people just don't know. Even though we live in a society that is the most nutritionally advanced, that knows so much about nutrition, so much about dieting and training, people still don't know. There's people out there that still don't know. And I think the most important thing for people to realize is that having you need to have a good conversation with yourself and realize that it's not ideal to be perfect when it comes to fitness, because if you're trying to be perfect, unless you are trying to compete for something, if you're just an ordinary bloke working an ordinary job, ask yourself, why in the hell are you doing this? What, for your holiday when you go to Marbella? or for your holiday when you go to Cancun or whatever party island people from Europe go to. It's like, don't get into the mindset of only doing this just for an Instagram photo. Do it to help yourself, to help with performance, to feel confident, to be happier. Because all these things that exercise has done to people has improved their lives. And you don't want to be that guy or that person who just does it just for the Instagram photo.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. But I mean, as touching on it, as far as like with each person having these speed bumps and these challenges, whether it's diet or injury or other stuff in life affecting you,
Mhm.
um, in recent, maybe not at this exact moment, but in recent memory, what's a speed bump that has hit you, and how did you get past that, like, mentally?
Good question. The speed bump in fitness has hit me. I would say probably biggest one that I would have experienced in recent day was when I was losing 106 from losing from 106 kilograms to 82. And I could have done it where if I was to do it properly, or I say properly in inverted commas, I would have lost 4 to 5 kg a month, which if I'm good at maths, 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20, or whatever. I might be really bad at maths, but yeah, I don't know what that is. But if I did it properly, and I say properly, like perfectly, no bumps or no nothing, I would have done, I would have lost 100, I would have lost what, the 22 or the 24 kilograms in 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
It took me an entire year to do it. And in that time, I was thinking to myself, what's the point? Am I doing things incorrectly? I'm messing up. I'm not eating right, or I'm gonna punish myself for not losing enough weight. And I was really bothered by this because this took me from, it literally took me from I would say May or yeah, no, April 2019 until March 2020. Right, just as the pandemic started. Fun, right? So
Okay.
I remember it took me what 11 months to do this. In 11 months, I lost 22 kilograms, right? And it was built on a good amount of lean muscle, and I was on point. But I still criticized myself because I was just going through all these bumps, and I remember it was around, I think it was around July, I started asking myself, what's the point? What's the point? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what's the point? And I remember just like going on a slippery slope because like I can't be asked to be eating these foods. I was only allowing myself to have like I wasn't even tracking macros then, but I remember I was having absolutely no fat in my diet whatsoever, just because I associated that with something bad and this and that and this and that. And all of these things here is something where it's like, damn, I really, 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 really messed up in the sense where I messed myself up. But I was able to pick up myself really quickly because when I started to ignore myself, competing with that imaginary version of myself that wasn't even helping me, I actually progressed a lot further. I started losing the weight even quicker. And not only that, but as I was losing the weight, I was getting stronger in the gym. And that is the biggest bump, that those, I will say that period of those 11 months was the biggest bump in terms of fitness I've ever taken. And I hope I don't go for another one. But I would ask,
And you use it to pull yourself back and catapult yourself forward.
literally, I use it to really push myself forward and really allow myself to grow. That even in the pandemic, I did allow myself to slip down. I brought some home equipment, a little bench, and I just essentially got myself active and still stayed on point with training. And I was really, really working hard. And because I went through that period, I say that taught me to never really give, to never give up and just to keep going. And baby steps are better, or baby steps is better than making no steps. Do you understand?
And yeah, literally, I was gonna say any progress is better than
You
no
see what I
progress.
mean? So yeah, what about yours? What is
Yeah.
your well, yeah, what's your either your biggest or your most recent bump?
So we'll go most recent just because I don't my biggest was a while
Yeah.
back. It's been a long time since I've had like that big. But right, I'll say recently,
Mm,
so for cardio, I guess, my friends and I, a couple buddies and I, twice a week we'll go and play racquetball,
mm,
like an indoor tennis kind of
mm,
thing.
mm.
Yeah. And I will say that it's the you can put me on a treadmill for 3 minutes and I will get bored. It doesn't matter if I'm sprinting,
Same,
walking uphill,
same.
like I can't stand doing cardio to do cardio.
Hmm, hmm.
Like cardio for me, it has to be something
Yeah,
competitive. Have to be
yeah,
doing a sport. Have to be something,
yeah,
or at least a change of scenery. I have to do it outside. Like I can't just sit there in one spot moving my like
yeah.
it just doesn't work for me.
Mm,
So I've been doing racquetball. That's been the thing lately. But the competitive spirit in me is like I get upset when I start
yeah,
losing, or I get upset when I have a hit and it isn't as good as I'd like. So been going a little too hard on it, in my opinion. I'm starting to develop what I guess you would be pretty familiar with it, like the tendonitis in my swinging arm.
yeah, yeah.
Like my shoulder is just like
I've
fucked.
got it as
and
well.
yeah, and it's learning to the struggle of, well, not the struggle, but the addition of, on any kind of push day, I'm in the gym 5-10 minutes earlier doing warm-ups on my shoulder just to like make sure I don't F it up
Yeah,
more. But like the pinching in it, I can feel it when I bench.
yeah,
I've gone to a little bit more of a close grip
yeah.
bench, which I don't like because I try not to focus heavy on triceps when I'm doing bench,
Mm,
but like just to make sure I don't mess it up
mhm.
more. And it's just having that extra layer um, on my plate to keep an eye out
Yeah,
for. And it's not something super crazy, but it's something that, and I mean, I might be a sick bastard for almost liking it because it adds something, like it makes it to where I've had to change
yeah,
it, forces your hand.
yeah.
Um, but just a slight little curveball I've been having to deal with the last few
Do you know
weeks.
what?
But
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
yeah. And I
yeah,
I wouldn't say that I actually had something. I mean, I'm gonna get it checked out soon. But one bump that I've had, right, which has actually changed my entire mentality, was around, if I can remember the exact date, probably the 15th of November 2022, right? I remember the exact date. So I was, prior to that date, I was ill for I think around a week or two. For the previous like 3 to 4 months, I was just getting ill, whether it was stress, I just wasn't really eating properly, eating my vitamins, or I was incredibly jet lagged when I came to America and came back to the UK. All these things, I was getting ill quite often, right? And there was this one time, and in that period, I was still trying to be strong. I was still trying to be Superman. I was still trying my absolute best to,
fight through
yeah,
it.
fight through it and be the big,
Yeah,
strong man that, you know, knows he can beat everything like I'm Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z and everything like I'm so strong. I'm
yeah,
so strong, right? And that worked. It worked for a bit, right? It worked for a bit, and I was doing well. And I never forget this, right? Because I just came in November, around mid-November. Let's call it a Monday. I got pretty ill, yeah? And in
yeah,
that time, I was thinking, okay, I can do this, right? I can do this. I'm strong. Screw it. Like I'm good, right? It took me around, I believe, a week to heal, or it was taking me around a week to heal, right? And I will never
yeah,
forget this because on a Tuesday I was screwed, and on Wednesday I was still screwed. On the Thursday I was feeling a bit better, and on the Friday I was like, I haven't gone to the gym since last Friday because I take 2 days off on the weekends at that time. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go to the gym, and I'm going to try and break a personal best, right, on a machine. I'm an idiot because I went with that mentality that nothing can break me, even though the philosophy or the saying is if you are ill below the neck, do not train. if it's in your head, maybe you can train a little lightly because it might be a little headache or
Yeah.
whatever. And I trained, and I remember I was doing a shoulder press or incline bench press. I don't remember which one it was. And I just tore one of the, my rotator cuff. I didn't completely tear it, but I tore it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't move my arm. I couldn't move my shoulders. I was totally screwed. And I remember like just being like, this will go away in like a week or two or whatever. I just had to rest it. But then by the time I returned to the ring, I had to still do things like scoop slams and all this, and it was exacerbating it a little bit.
Like
And all that sort of stuff, like,
yeah.
tiger rolls and all these sort of things, I was exacerbating it a bit. So I felt, that's making it a bit worse. And then I had to completely change my training plan to the point where I haven't even incline benched in the free bench properly since September 2022. And still to this day, it's a bit like so-so. Like, I know how to mend it now because I had to make it stronger because it was something that was always there, but it was small, right? And I could avoid it
Yeah.
when I'm on my full power. But because I wasn't in my full power with my full strength, and I tried to replicate my full power and full strength, I completely worsened it tenfold. And to this day, I'm still suffering a bit from it. And all it was that I had to do was simply just take another week off or take a couple of extra days off, and I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's such a big bump is because it's still changed my training. Don't get it twisted. I can still build muscle easily and still strong as hell. This is great. But if it wasn't for my impatience and my arrogance and my ignorance, I would have been, shoulder pain free, rotator cuff free and rotator cuff pain free, whatever. And it's something where it's like I always recommend people. Because before, I mean, I've changed a lot now, even though it's only been a couple of months. But before, I used to recommend the greatest advice to everyone out there. But for myself, I would say I'm a superhuman, therefore it's wrong. Well, not wrong, but therefore it didn't apply to me.
Uh,
Do you
yeah.
understand? But I've learned so much that we are only human, and whilst we are very strong, we're also very fragile. And I think it's very important to acknowledge that because by acknowledging that, I've kept myself a lot safer. I always had this mentality where, like, if I took like an extra week off the gym, I'll just get small and it would take me such a long time to build my muscles back. Even though I knew this was irrational, it still made me force myself to go to the gym when I shouldn't have gone to the gym. So that's been a bump. That's been the most recent bump and a big bump. And I feel that now it's best to just be a lot more mature with fitness.
I was gonna say, still a learning moment. Like
Big
you were
one.
able to take away, and although it was at the expense of your own pain and your own injury, um, learning that like just taking that extra day
Yeah,
off, it's
it's not
not
gonna
gonna
kill. It's
break
not gonna kill you.
everything you've built.
Exactly.
It will benefit you
Mm,
more, especially if it's your body telling you to.
exactly.
If it was last, it might have been 2 weekends ago, but there was one day I've been doing my days off or Saturday and Sunday, and I was like, I try to wake up on Sunday and I do arms and cardio, and it's because it's the only day I can go to the gym. I can go for like 2.5, 3 hours if I really want to. I'll hit like a massage bed, sauna, steam room, like the works. Like it's my recovery gym day, I guess. Um, and and even though most of it's recovery, I woke up and I slept through my alarm. I slept in an hour and a half, and I woke up and like I'm just laying there. I'm like, oh, my body is like
Yeah,
drained. I was like, let's scratch it. I'm gonna listen to what my body's saying. I'm gonna scratch it. We'll do a little chores around the house, do whatever it is. A little active recovery, but like my body is weighing me down in this bed. It is saying,
yeah,
"Don't get up and go to the
yeah,
gym," and it's. I mean, you see the motivational quotes that it's like your brain has to fight through it, and you those are the times you need to push yourself. But it's a very fine line
very
because
fine.
there are times where, like, yeah, it's like your body's gonna be like, meh, I don't wanna, and those are the times you need to push through and be
Yeah,
like, any workout is better than no workout.
Hmm.
But there are also days where your body is like, and it's learning to differentiate when it's saying that and when it's saying, hey, you should not push
And
yourself
that's
today.
so true.
Let's take
That's
it
very
easy.
true.
And it's a very fine line, and
Very fun line.
it takes little mishaps like that, like a slight injury or a slight mishap, to open your eyes to which is
Yeah,
which.
and I was,
So I think it's something we all kind of have to
yeah,
experience
definitely,
in our own way.
definitely. And the thing is that just to add on to the point, right? When it's your body telling you, that it's not feeling it. I've always, since I've started this fitness journey, I've always been watching those motivational videos telling you to get up, and if you get knocked down or get back up as much as you can and all of this and all of that. And it's a thing where it's like, listen, like that is true, right? That is true, especially if you go in a downward spiral where life hits you and everything and so on and so forth. But if you are somebody who's training hard, just you're doing what you can, you're eating well enough, you're eating, healthily, you're getting your sleep in. Maybe you didn't get sleep this week, but this week you're getting your sleep in. You're doing this, you're doing that, but your body's telling you, I'm not feeling it. You have to listen to your body. I don't care what you are, because if you keep doing it, right? I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but I felt like sometimes the gym can become a chore, something that I have to do when I don't need to do it. When in reality, I should always want to go to a gym. I should be thinking about the gym all the time before I even go to bed. I should be like gym, 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 gym. I want to get myself fit. Do you understand? And I feel that if we are to if you are to differentiate when it's your body or your mind telling you no, you will be great. And most times your body's telling you no if you are doing things correctly, like your diet is fine, your habits are fine, yet you don't really want to go. Whereas if you've been eating a bit of crap here and there, you haven't been eating well enough towards your needs, and you've been partying all the time, and you've been drinking so much, and you've been just lethargic in general, then it could get to the point where your mind doesn't want you to be so active because it's so used to the state that it was in for that period of time where you weren't living the best lifestyle or you weren't living the most healthy lifestyle. So I feel like it's definitely important to understand how important it is to differentiate when your body's telling you not to and when your mind's telling you not to.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, and as far as people who are something motivational you could give for the people who are like, oh well, I want to get in shape for summer, but I think it's too late to start.
I,
What would you say to
you
those
know
people?
what? Yeah, listen, on Twitter, I'm 26 now, right? So I'm not getting any younger, but I'm still pretty freaking young in hindsight. A lot of people on Twitter are like, that follow me are 18 and 19, and they look at me and they're like, oh my God, your body is great. And what I tell people, I started bodybuilding 4 months before my 20th birthday. So many people can't believe it. I started bodybuilding 4 months before my 20th birthday. When if I had the mindset that a lot of people have today, I would have even have tried. I would have told myself it's way too late. Because you have all these people who start off when they're like 15
They want it
and they
right
want it
now.
right now. They want the results right now. And I always have to say to people, listen, one, you should always aim to be the best version of yourself. And two, it's never too late. If you're able-bodied individual, you're healthy enough, you can move around, you're again an able-bodied individual. If you are an able-bodied individual, you can do it. I don't want to hear any excuses. I do understand that it's hard and essentially the initial drive, the initial part is always the hardest bit because you have to get yourself out of the comfort zone to do something that you are completely not used to. However, I must say that you really need to just go for it. So, for example, me and Gabriel, I've always wanted to do a podcast, right? And Gabriel was my guy, hit me up, and we made it. I could have told myself, oh, but I need to make sure that it's so perfect. I need to make sure that this is right, that is right, this is right, that is right. But in reality, all we did was just that we just went there and we just did it. And it's like we just shoot. We don't have to plan so much. Don't have to do this. You have to do that. And we're still finding new ways to improve, right? But my
Yeah.
initial my point is just do it. You do not understand. If you
Start.
yeah, just start. If you go to the gym today, yeah, and you do a bunch of you do every machine that's out there. You do leg extensions, and leg curls, and then a bicep curl, and then a tricep extension machine, and then a hip thrust, and blah blah blah. You do every single thing out there, and you do I don't know 10 reps of each workout for one set, and you don't rest in between. Okay, cool. That's a bit unstructured, but guess what? It's better than staying in bed all day and doing nothing. You've done something.
It.
And
I was gonna
yeah,
say it's pretend there's two of you today, right now, two versions
mm,
of you. One of you, it's too late. It's too late to get a jump on the summer bod. It's too. I'll try again. I'll try again next year. Come January, I'm gonna take it over. And then there's the version of you that says, "Okay, I'm gonna go get a gym membership today. I'm gonna hop on the treadmill for 10 minutes. I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna look up some workouts to do for a beginner on YouTube." You have already taken that first step past this
mhm,
guy. This version of you, which is just going to stay right
mhm,
here, and each day, just using something to educate, to better yourself. The perfect example, I was literally going to touch on it. We started this podcast with no idea how we were going to do it, no idea what we were going to
mhm.
do fully, no idea, and still a year and a half later, and we're finding little ways to tweak, little ways for trial and error, little ways to experiment and to learn, and keeping an open mind, and then looking back, and even on the fuck ups, on the things that well, like we look back and we were like, oh, that was amateur. Being proud of
Yeah,
that, being proud of where we came, and using it to boost us to the next level tomorrow.
exactly. You guys,
So,
you have to make mistakes to learn how to be better. You have to, because you can get better by being perfect and so on and so forth. But you bench pressing, I don't know, 10 kg last week. Now this week you're bench pressing 15 kg. Now the next week you're benching 20, and it goes up. But then some people they love to, we have so much information out there, and whilst it's a good thing, it's also a bad thing because it makes us overthink, and it makes us feel like if we aren't doing the perfect thing, the perfect plan, the perfect diet plan, the perfect training plan, the perfect lifestyle habit, then we are doing it wrong. Therefore, what we're doing is bad. Therefore, we shouldn't even try. Because what's the point? Why am I going to do it if it's wrong? And I tell people, listen, fitness is with fitness. What I love to say, yeah, about fitness, and I thought about this the other day. It's not rocket science, it's just science. That's it with fitness. It's not rocket science, it's
mhm.
just science. Yes, there are things here and there that's a bit confusing and so on and so forth, but dude, if you just go there and just do something, you will eventually start to see yourself being more active, being more healthy, and then you will start picking more and more things up as you go along. Just because you were doing, like for example, what they like to say is, and I know what they mean by this. I know, it's just a quote, but I've seen people, coaches say doing a squat or back squat is not optimal, right? And then the beginner could see that and be like, "Oh my God, I just started the gym and I've been doing squats. Am I doing am I doing am I doing it wrong, or is what I'm doing for the past 2 months wrong?" And it's like, dude, no, because you're squatting, you're doing something. They're just talking about something way
Yeah.
advanced to that. Do you understand? To the point where if you really want to focus on a certain muscle, like a quads, certain quads within your body or whatever, blah blah blah, then it's like, dude, maybe doing this variation will be a bit better, but that won't matter unless you're going to failure anyway, unless you're really progressively overloading. We have all this information out there, but my point is bodybuilding and fitness is just science, not rocket science. And if you do the activities and you try to keep yourself doing it at a consistent basis, you will see progress. And then when you start learning more and more things, you'll start seeing even more progress at a faster rate. That's it, guys. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's take that first
Take
step.
the first step. Take the first step. step, take that leap of faith, and don't look back. Don't look back. I have made that mistake of looking back and comparing and this and that, and it's like, dude, what do I get from doing that? I'm not I'm not 18 anymore. I'm not, the 19-year-old scrawny kid who just started lifting anymore. I'm a grown man now, and I'm a man who has a lot more to learn. I'm not even 30. I'm not even 30, and I have way too much to learn. I have way too much to learn, and I just have to say, people, listen. If you're feeling unmotivated, don't. I know it's going to sound a bit like, what do you mean don't? But a lot of people, they do this thing with motivation, and it's very, very incorrect. They look for motivation. You don't look for motivation. It's not possible. It can't come.
Be the
Do you see what I
motivation.
mean? Be the motivation. You have to do the activities. You have to do what you need to do to then see the results, to then be happy with the results, and then get motivated. But waiting for motivation to come to you is never ideal. You have to essentially do the work first. Always do the work. That's what I gotta say. And just take that leap of faith, and I promise you, you will thank yourself for doing it. You will thank yourself for doing it. Trust me on
I
that.
absolutely love that. I love that. Like, guys, we completely shoot. We don't necessarily
You
we
have no
come in
plan.
and we're like we're gonna talk about this topic. And I swear to you, sometimes, dude, you will literally say something exactly as I plan on
Yeah,
saying it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah,
yes, and man.
like
Yeah,
literally the metaphor, but yeah.
yeah. No, I love that.
um, but and maybe we can get some feedback from you
Mm.
guys as the pro wrestling podcast with two body guys. And I'm not trying to shoot on anyone here, but what other pro wrestling podcast without featuring pro wrestlers have two guys that are as diverse when it comes to fitness and health?
Hmm.
Brandon is a certified trainer. I know my shit. Like, where else do you get this? And it's one of those things where it's like,
But
depending on what you guys think, maybe I think we should start implementing a little bit more of health and fitness, even on top of the pro
yeah,
wrestling stuff.
definitely.
Because it's something that these two guys probably know better than your other favorite
That's true.
podcasters. Not to fire shots at anyone, but the proof is in the
Yes,
pudding.
there you go.
Two body guys
Beefy man.
that love pro wrestling. Bump me. But what do you guys think? Maybe you guys should send us a message
Yeah, def.
if there's a way you guys think that we could implement adding just a layer of that health and fitness, bodybuilding,
Yeah,
routine, motivation, all that stuff, a way that we could implement that with the pro wrestling, because I think that that would be our
yeah.
niche.
No, definitely.
I
And I feel that maybe we can do a thing where, we have our. What I like to say is that we have, when it comes to pro wrestling, what we normally have is the predictions for pay-per-view, then the reaction to the pay-per-view, and then the aftermath of essentially what's happened in the pay-per-view, and then maybe a guest here and there. And that's essentially our pro wrestling niche, right? Or our pro wrestling target, or whatever we do. I can't figure out the word.
yeah.
But when it comes to the dry season of wrestling, or when it just comes to times where we have nothing to really speak about wrestling, I feel that fitness is very important. And I always say, people, if you have suggestions, people send me suggestions all the time. I even need to find some old screenshots, but a lot of people send me messages of episodes they want me to do, or things to talk about when it comes to fitness, because that's just what they really appreciate. And they really want me to talk about it because people see me on Instagram and on Twitter just giving my insight of fitness. And if that's what you guys want, then just tell me, because I'm always gonna put that idea out there. And Gabriel is someone who thinks exactly like me. We will be able to do, be able to, and be more than happy to do episodes on whatever you guys want us to talk about, because there's so much with fitness that I can talk about forever. I can talk about it until I die. Do you understand? So just let us know, guys. Let us know. Do you understand?
I think so. I think moving forward, you guys should expect us to at least implement a little bit more health and
Yeah,
fitness.
well, yeah, no, I'm happy with that, and I feel like in this episode we've definitely discussed of a little bit of fitness. We've reintroduced ourselves back into the fitness regime or the fitness podcast regime, and I'm happy about that. And I just want to say, listen, guys, I appreciate your support. If you've been supporting us for a year and a half, we've been seeing more and more downloads of recent times, and that just motivates us more and more. And it's something that I really appreciate more than anything. A lot of people don't understand how much I really appreciate that. So I want to say, guys, again, I appreciate the support. It means a lot to me during times like this and just times in general. And listen, anything or any suggestions you have, just send me a DM. People know that I do reply to our DMs pretty often, unless they're like, weird thirsty DMs, which whilst I do appreciate, I don't have time to answer all of them, guys. Let's be real. So, I'm just gonna keep it real. But listen, guys, it's been sweet, and Gabriel knows how much I appreciate him. So I'm happy to end this episode on this note, unless Gabriel has anything else to add.
I think we're good for there.
Beautiful,
I think we're good for the
beautiful.
day.
So,
Guys, go ahead and peek your head in that gym. Sign up for that
yes.
membership. It's not too late to get that
Yes,
summer bod
sir.
started.
Yes, sir. It's not too late, people. Start today. Start now. Don't give up on yourself. You have got this. I don't care how much weight you gained over the previous holidays or over the weekend or how much you drank. I don't give a crap. I don't care if you gained 500 kg, even that's not physically possible. I don't care. I don't care. Listen, folks.
No
No
excuses.
excuses. That's all I want to say. So on that note, it's been beautiful, and thank you for listening to another episode of the Professional Hills Podcast. You have me, Brennan Corbino, also known as the Black John Cena, and you have my man Gavin Gabriel, also known by me as the Sexy Goldberg. And on that note, we bid you adieu.